Greetings, my fellow crafters and creatives. Welcome back to another one of my weaving videos. My name is Bobby Olan and I am primarily a knitter, which is why these weaving videos have been so few and far between. But I am finally back at it with a project that I have been meaning to do for years. Well, sort of, actually. No, that's not right. I am here today to warp my loom for a class that I'm doing tomorrow, but they haven't told us how long of a warp we should do, so I'm just doing an extra long warp so that I will hopefully have enough left over to do a project that I have been meaning to do for years and years and years. That's why I'm confused. Anyway, I am still weaving on my Spears size 4 weaving loom here, as you can see, and the class tomorrow is one on finishing techniques. So just a few different methods for finishing the ends, I guess, different types of hem stitching, and who knows what else there may be. They have said if you have beads that will fit 2 strands of warp, then to bring those. So excited to see what that is about. But anyway, let me just jump in, or else I am likely to just ramble on and on and on, and I will get started weaving. I do just want to preface this video by saying while I am going to be making an effort to show a lot more detail on how I warp the loom, because I have had a few lovely commenters, hello, asking for that, I do just want to say I am not a weaver. I'm very, very, very much a beginner weaver. I've watched lots of videos, watched a few classes on Craftsy, that kind of thing. Tomorrow is the first formal class that I'm actually going to be taking. So I've sort of cobbled together my method of warping from the things that I have seen. Feel free to copy me, but at the same time, I do not consider myself any kind of teacher or authority. I like doing the direct warping method, but I have also never done the other kind of warping, which I don't even know what it's called. So before doing this, I didn't actually look up again the methods on how to actually warp the loom using the direct warping method, but I am just kind of hoping that I remember. Let's see how that goes. And as you can see, I have added some bits and pieces to my loom so that I can use some of the methods that I've seen for proper looms instead of toy looms like this one is. Just trying to remember how this goes together. Alrighty, I have assembled my loom, which really isn't hard, but I always have to think for a bit about which end these heddle holders have to go on and which bit I have set up to be the front and which the back. They're really identical, but one of them I have attached this sort of beam, let's call it, to, and the other one I have some ties. I'm trying to reach for the shorter one, but I'll just grab one of these. I've attached some more ties so that I can, very, very bad angle, so that I can loop the other end through. And the reason that I do that is because in my head, because the warp, because that having that extra beam brings the warp a little bit out from the bars at the end, clearly I know my weaving terminology, then you get a little bit more out of your warp, because otherwise if this is where the beater sits, oh, you know what, I have done this the wrong way around. No, yeah, that's, I don't know which they call the front and the back. That is the end that I will be standing at when I actually do the weaving. Is that the front beam then? Yeah, I think that means that's the front beam and this is the back beam. But yeah, so in my head, because I have these bits of dowel here, it allows the warp to come forward a little bit more so that you can weave on more of it, if that makes sense. I'm trying to reduce loom waste. That's the word. I'm trying to reduce loom waste. Anyway, so I have this clamped here, and then down the other end of the table, which I am guessing, I haven't actually measured it, but I don't really need to be any kind of accurate for this project. I'm guessing it's about 2 meters long. On the other end, I am going to clamp this. So I don't have an actual warping peg. All I have is this Lazy Kate turned yarn butler doodad that is part of my electric spinning wheel, e-spinner. Gosh, I don't know any of the terminology for anything today, do I? Anyway, I have generally been using that as my warping peg, and it works totally fine. I had wondered actually, if I use this clamp, if I could use the handle of this clamp for the warping peg, but because it's got a shape to it and it's not just a straight up cylinder, I don't think that that's really going to work well. So yeah, I probably will use that clamp instead of one of these crafting clamps for this here, to clamp this to the table, because this gets a bit of tension on it and it can tend to start to try to bend or pull a little bit, and I want to try to keep it as secure as possible. Actually, so maybe to be safe, I'll chuck this third clamp. I've got 2 of these clamps holding this loom onto the table right now so that it doesn't move, but I might add a third one for security. I also have this old, sleighing hook that I got secondhand from the Hand Weavers and Spinners Guild's annual Market Bazaar thing that they have. And when I was there, I also picked up this cone here, and it's labeled as, it just says cone wool cream. But the label at the bottom, which you totally won't be able to see, but it says Wangaratta Woolen Mills, quality MD 532. I have no idea what that means. Count 215. I know that refers to some kind of thing to do with its weaving weight, like the yarn weight. Where knitting, we'd say fingering weight, sport weight, lace weight. I mean, this would be some kind of lace weight, I imagine. Anyway, and then it says pure wool. So I bought this with the intention of using it for warps. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll get to it, shall I? This cone is falling over. This cone is going to sit on a chair down here so that I can just grab it and do my stringing. Let's do it. Alrighty friends, the first part is done. I have 2 warp threads going through each slot in the heddle here. I cut the end that had been looped around the warping peg. I wasn't sure that was what I was meant to do, but it's done now and I'm pretty sure that's right. And I have just bundled each, I've bundled the threads into sections of about 20 threads, just to sort of make it a little bit more manageable and hopefully less prone to becoming a tangled mess. I've also removed the clamps because now the next thing that I have to do is turn this around, and I have to thread one of the 2 threads that is in a slot. I have to thread one of them through a hole. This here is the second smallest crochet hook that I own. It is super tiny. I could not tell you what size it is, but it's very, very small. It says 2 on it, Argosy 2, and I don't know if that's the size because I actually have one that's smaller than this that says 5.5. So I don't know what that's referring to, but the sleighing hook that I was using to do the first part of the warping doesn't actually fit in the holes, but this itty bitty crochet hook does. So hopefully I'm doing all of this in the right order, and let's see how it goes. I think this next bit is like the fiddly bit, so wish me luck. I've just had a thought. I can't remember. So I've done my warps in lots of 2, right? So that's like slot hole, slot hole, slot hole. Are you meant to end on the same, like is either end of the warp meant to be the same? Like if I start with a slot, should I end with a slot? Well, can't be bothered adding another thread now. We'll just see how it goes. I feel like I need to secure them at the back somehow. They feel like they want to slip out. So I just settled down to start doing the thing that I was explaining of getting some of the threads through the holes. And I think I've actually kind of done this in the wrong order. These are so long and they'll still be like really annoying to have to like pull through, and I feel like there's more potential for them to tangle. I think what I actually should have done, probably before I even cut threads at the end, was wind onto the back beam. Yes, I think I really should have wound onto the back beam so that what I'm pulling through isn't as long. So I'm going to have to do that now, but I don't know how well that's going to work. Now that I've cut the threads, and I kind of don't want to lose my bundles either. but I'm gonna give it a go, and we'll just have to see how it goes. Yeah. Okay, so what I am going to do now is attempt to set up my tensioning device. So if you have at all been wondering why I have so many bits of dowel here, you are about to find out. Sorry for all of the clanging. I think I will actually have to undo all of my knots, keeping my sections nice and neatly separate. Yes, I really should have looked up what I'm supposed to do first. Do I need to pack that out a bit there, or is that okay? I probably should, but I'm going to risk not. Why do I have some odd threads crossing at the back? Threads crossing at the back in odd places. Let's just sort of attempt to comb these out into some semblance of neatness. Okay, so this is not my method. Yeah, I'll just let my thread sit on the floor there. This is not my method. I saw this on the YouTubes, and I cannot remember who was doing it, but I think I saw it from one person, and then I looked up other videos on how to do it. So, not taking any credit. I have rubber bands, and I have 4 dowels that are a little bit longer, a little bit wider than the width of these side beams on my loom. Yep, okay, yeah. So first I'm gonna put one underneath here, and then I'm going to use rubber bands to secure it. Just like so. I probably could have cut these a little bit longer. Just to give the rubber bands a little bit more space to grab onto. I think these are starting to lose their elasticity a little bit, but hopefully they will hold long enough. Okay, so now I have 2 underneath. I'm going to, you can see I've had to wrangle some of these elastic bands by putting 2 small ones together because I didn't quite have enough. Whoops. Okay, so this one sits on top. Maybe I need to sort of comb this out a little bit better. Maybe it doesn't matter at this stage. Don't know that I'm doing anything right. Okay, so that one sits on top and it gets attached in the same way. Oops. Okay, they feel nice and tight. That's good. And then this one sits on top as well. Should I do it here? Let's do it here. You know what? I think I can actually turn this back around. Don't think I've done a very good job of this, but it would have been easier if I'd done this before I cut it and I had the ends on the stick. But oh well, that is not what I have done. All right, let's just hope this works. I have some paper here. All right, for a little extra security, let's just rubber band those all together. There, that's a bit loose, but oh well. Well, that was a mess. It would have worked so much better with the tensioning and would have gone so much quicker if I had remembered the order in which I had to do things from the start. So when I took the warp off the warping peg and I first put the dowel through it before I cut it, well, I was on the right track initially, and then I second guessed myself and thought, just got things in the wrong order. I shouldn't have cut it then. I should have left it on the dowel, and that would have left all of the threads still neatly aligned and spread out, so that when I put it on the through this tensioning dowel system that I've got, it would have all been flat and smooth. But instead, because all of the threads were crossing over all of each other, they were all twisted, it meant that it was kind of lumpy along the dowel, if that makes any sense, because instead of all threads being perfectly laid out flat, they were all tangled up like this and making lumps, which meant that the tension, it just wasn't tensioning as tightly as it has in the past when I have done this system. I really think this system is brilliant and works really well. I just did a really poor job of it. And you can still see maybe you can see that everything is still kind of like tangled and twisted and messed up. But whatever, I think it's good enough for what I am doing with it, honestly, and hopefully I will remember better next time. And now I am going to get through that bit that I nearly started before of putting each second thread through a hole instead of a slot. Well, my back isn't happy, but I have successfully slayed my reed. I think that's the terminology. I'll let you have a look at it. Not sure how much you can tell from this view, but there is now one thread in each slot and in each hole. My usual error when I do this process is I miss a slot, but this time I had actually double threaded one slot, but that's, they're both pretty easy problems to solve. You kind of just like move them over however many you need to. But that is done. Next, I am going to wind it on to the back beam a bit more, and then I can tie it to the front beam. And then I will just give it some slack, because you shouldn't leave it with any tension on it, and it will be ready to go for the class I have tomorrow morning. That already looks so much better. I bet you can't see. So much neater. Do things right. Still feels a bit loose, but that's all right. Okay, so loosen and wind. Could still probably use a bit more tension. That's okay. Yeah, it could definitely use more tension. I think if I could have these, you know what, I can. Where, oh, beside me. I get another couple of rubber bandies and secure them together, because the less of a gap there is between them, the more this tension will hold. Loosen and tighten. I am being bad as well. I haven't put more paper here. Okay. Ooh. I hope I haven't actually pulled it too much now. So the idea now is that, why did these come out? It's all very slapped together. Which way did I do it? This way. Okay, so the idea now is I tie, oh, hello. The idea now is I tie these ends to this bit of dowel, which is shorter than the width of the beam, so that it's the same as the one that's on the back beam, so that I can then wind that onto, front, back. I really can't keep track. I can wind onto this one. So I'll get this in here like this. So there is a closer look at those tensioning rods that I have. And we are now going to get you set up so that you can see this next bit. All right. So the idea now is I have slung that beam, makeshift beam, there. Let's move it over a smidge. I'm actually going to need to turn this around, but I can explain to you anyway. And then I want to tie these onto that so that I can then wind that as I weave. Oh, all right, let's reset that up. Let's start with this one. Split you roughly down the middle. And let's see if I remember how to do this knot thing. It was something like you go over and then under and then you knot it. And this is supposed to be like a good knot to like be able to like re-tighten if you need to, I think, is the idea behind that. I hope you can see. I really hope you can see. Okay, so roughly split this one. Yep, so I've, what is it, over and under. I've started in the center because I'm trying to make this balanced. But as has been obvious by everything so far, and like I said at the start, this isn't really a tutorial because I obviously do not know what I'm doing. So see, now that I've tied this one is a little bit looser, so I should just be able to pull on it and tighten it. Oh, and now this one's looser. And I will just keep making those adjustments as I tie the rest. Maybe I won't go tightening them all until I've got them all on there, because then I don't need to retighten it each time. Where is half? Is that about half? Looks like I actually left myself pretty much the right amount of warp hanging out here, because if it was much shorter, oh, I forgot to do the thing. If it was much shorter, I wouldn't really have enough to, what did I do there? I wouldn't really have enough like to be able to grab onto a good amount to tie these knots. They'd be much harder to tie if I finish your sentences. They'd be much harder to tie if they were shorter, because there wouldn't be much to grab onto. I always regret the loom waste, but if it just wouldn't be possible without it, really. I'm just sliding this tie over so that I can like how close enough. Oh, did I do it again? I'll go through that a couple of times. allows it to be adjustable somewhat. But know that I can move this one over so that I can tie it within these bands. Where do I want to split? I think this bundle is a little bit thinner than the others, not that it really matters. I think it's a bit of like an endless game of trying to tighten these and get the tension even all the way through. You can just keep doing minute tightenings forever and ever. That's it, I'm going to stop fiddling with it. Alright, so now I just need to cut more paper and wind this on. Well, friends, that class is over and it did not go as well as I would have liked. You can see beside me here the horrible sampler that I made, and I think that, well, I know, I'm certain that a lot of the issues that I had with it are due to just using the completely wrong yarns for everything. First of all, the warping did not go as well as I would have hoped it would go. So I would like to make another one of these videos showing you how I warp using like a proper yarn for it, because the yarn that I actually used was quite slippery, and I think that's one of the reasons that I had a lot of trouble with getting a good tension on it. It just wasn't the right fiber. It wasn't the right everything. It just wasn't right. And then, of course, it's so bloody fine. For a class like this, I should have really known that I am supposed to use a thicker yarn for both the warp and the weft, so that I could actually see what I am doing and get through my samples and get through, trying all of the techniques a lot easier and a lot quicker. So I would say that's partly my fault, partly theirs. Apparently, we were all supposed to get some document with some warping information, and they only asked at the end of the class if we'd actually gotten that document, and everyone else who was there was saying no. So that wasn't great, and it probably would have told me, the right yarn to use and how long of a warp that I needed to have prepared, and possibly even like a recommended width. I did go wide and extra long because, as I said in the beginning of this video, I am hoping to weave more with that yarn, and I am still hoping to do that. I'm still happy to have taken the class as well. I did learn some new techniques that I am sure to employ in future weaving projects, and it is a bit of a shame now that I still have a lot of this warp, a good chunk of this warp on the loom, and I am going to use it for the other weaving project that I talked about. It's not ideal, but that other project is only going to be a wall hanging. So for me, it doesn't matter as much. It's something that is meant to be showcasing the yarns that I'm using for the weft. So it's going to be, it'll be what it is, and that's fine. Yeah, I think that's all that I had to say about it at this point. And as I have said throughout this video, I'm not trying to teach you anything. Just, I would recommend doing as I did and just watching as many videos as you can on how other people who are more experienced than me set up their looms. But I hope that you still got something out of this and maybe just learned what not to do. Hopefully I will have another weaving video for you sooner than this one came out after the last one. So at a more frequent interval, hopefully. We shall see. And I guess good luck with all of your weaving attempts. I shouldn't say that. I'm sure you'll be a lot more successful than me because you will know to use proper yarn. Oh yeah, so I did want to say, speaking of proper yarn, trying to do my outro and remembering things here. I did wrap a couple of shuttle sticks with the same yarn that I used for the warp, but then at the end of the night before the class, I realized, hang on, no, this is, I'm crazy for using something this fine. I need to find something thicker. But because I didn't want to use any of my precious knitting yarns, I found some acrylic, which is of course also horribly slippery and just not right. So no surprise that my weaving experience at the class wasn't great. I used a terrible warp yarn. I used a terrible weft yarn. And it was just completely wrong. When I have used up all of the warp on that loom, actually, I may go back and redo this sampler using better yarn, and maybe I will film that. Okay, that is all that I have to share with you. I hope that you enjoyed seeing me stumble along this project, and I hope that it doesn't deter you from having a go and trying things out yourself and taking classes, because I just did not prepare as well as I would have liked. Anyway, I will see you next time. Thank you for joining me for this video, and yeah, enjoy your weaving.